Hello, everyone. My name's Leon. I'm a psychotherapist and a life coach. And today I would like to talk to you about how the power of now could help people with social anxiety. The Power of Now is a really wonderful book that was written by Eckhart Tolle. And Eckhart Tolle is this really great spiritual teacher. And when he was young, he struggled with a lot of anxiety, but he learned how to overcome that anxiety with a really deep sense of inner presence in the moment. In this channel, I've mentioned about how I struggled with severe social anxiety in the past. And today, I love to give workshops, and I give regular workshops and therapy coaching for people with social anxiety or anxiety issues. But it wasn't always that way. I remember the very first time I gave a workshop in my internship as a trying to get my degree in mental health counseling. And when I was in front of a group, this was at a drug treatment center. It's my first presentation in front of a group. I felt like I was incredibly stiff and I was just reading off the slides and I was really mechanical in my presentation. And the reason why is that I was stuck in my mind. It was really hard for me to become present. And I felt like afterwards, when I was spontaneous, even though I wasn't as planned as that time when I was really struggling, even though I did not plan so much the next time, when I was spontaneous and I was responding in the moment, I really ran the group well, and people really noticed that. And ever since, I really loved running groups. So Eckhart Tolle distinguishes between two types of things. One is psychological time, and the other one is clock time. So I think this really much applies to people with social anxiety because people with social anxiety get stuck in something called psychological time. And that is when we are dwelling in the past, we're obsessing over the future because we feel a lot of struggle around social situations and we want to be able to control it so that we could force ourselves to do better. But it's all under a lot of pressure. And the thing is, when your mind's in the past, when your mind's in the present, it's so hard to tune in a moment and actually perform well in a moment. I find that when I am really present in conversation or when I'm presenting in front of a group, somehow things just come easy. And I just allow things to flow out. And one thing is that I find is because I am expressing myself from my heart. Same thing when I'm learning languages. I find that when I'm speaking Spanish, for example, when I'm thinking about all the grammar rules in my head and not avoiding making errors, I'm stuck in my head and it's actually really hard to speak. I fumble a lot when I speak. But on the other hand, when I attune to the moment and I am expressing myself from my heart, somehow it just comes easy. I speak a lot more fluently when I'm like that way. Eckhart Tolle distinguishes between psychological time and clock time. So the thing is, planning is useful, but it has its limitations. The limitations come when we are focused on psychological time. So psychological time, for example, would be dwelling in the past, obsessing over the past to the point of guilt. And a lot of people with social anxiety, they understandably experience this because they feel a lot of shame around social situations. There's a lot of trauma regarding social situations. So what happens is that we might want to keep obsessively revisiting an error in a conversation. And when that happens, then it's hard to tune to what's going on right now in the moment. So a healthy approach is clock time. That's when you review the past in a healthy way. You look at the past to look at what thing can you learn from the past, and you bring that lesson into the present, right? But this is very different from obsessively revisiting the past. So Eckhart Tolle says that the past can be useful, but only when you apply it to the moment. So if I'm studying the past, I'm studying the past in a moment. I'm applying all my focus and my presence to understanding the past. And then I put the past away and I tune to the next thing that I need to attend to. And that could be talking in a moment. When we are unhealthily fixated on goals, when focused so much on outcomes, again, it's hard to be present in the moment. So this happens a lot with people with social anxiety because we feel a lot of pressure around having to perform well. We set these goals for ourselves and we think about whether I'm meeting this goal or not when it comes to social situations, whether I'm succeeding or failing. So you want to kind of let go of the outcome and to focus more on the process. And understandably, we might get so focused and fixated on the goals. People with social anxiety could often think about a lot of goals or thoughts at the same time because they think that if I could have all these goals and thoughts in my mind, I have control over it. But what happens is that what ends up happening is that we get distracted from the moment because there's so many moving parts to keep track of. If we are present to the moment, that's when our mind is actually sharpest and clearest, according to Eckhart Tolle. So you just want to, you could spend time to work on planning or to create goals for yourself. I like to write down my goals on a sheet of paper, but when I do so, when I'm focused on this future orientation, I do that in the moment. I apply my presence to that activity. But afterwards, I put that aside. And when I'm engaged in conversation, I'm engaged with my heart and expressing myself in the moment. And according to Eckhart Tolle, you just want to work on one step at a time and focus on that one step. You don't need to have all these goals in your mind at once because that causes a lot of anxiety. Finally, he distinguishes between clock and psychological time this way. Psychological time is about anxiously needing to arrive in the future. Again, a lack of present orientation. I feel like this is very relatable if you have social anxiety. You want to instead use clock time and kind of be able to allow the present to unfold in a moment, see it as an adventure. And I really emphasize to focus on what you could enjoy in the moment. Because when we treat it like as a task, as homework, then it could be a real drag. But if we kind of see the moment as something that unfolds in a moment, something that is a present, then it's a lot more enjoyable. So I want to end with this dream that I had. I had this really funny dream in which I tended to have a very high filter on myself when it comes to speaking. So I hesitated a lot when I spoke, and that caused me to kind of fumble in my speech a lot and become incoherent. So I had this dream in which I went into this elevator and I saw this celebrity that I really respected a lot, but she did not notice me. And I was so anxious to speak with her. I said, should I speak with her? Should I get her attention, etc.? And something in me said, I had to say something, right? And something that helped me was to lower my filter and just just start with something very simple, and allow the conversation to unfold from there and just be very present to that conversation. Trust in your intuition and your heart in the moment. You don't have to come up with all these things in your head. So I hope you like this. If you enjoyed it, please click like and subscribe. Do you really want to get in touch with feeling present in the moment in an experiential way? I really recommend you reading this article that I wrote called Feeling Confident and Satisfied When Life is Uncertain. I write in a way that kind of gets you in the present zone. I have a link to this posted down below in the description box.